David, you are a deputy in the Jewish agency, part of the connection between Israel and Jews. We have a question that is important for many people. Do we have to talk good? Because they learn we have to do asbara all the time and talk only good about Israel. Cannot we talk about politics? How does it has to be the relation between medias in Mexico, people in the street with Israel, and what it happens all around there?
Okay, it's an interesting question and an important one. And the answer, of course, depends in part on where the discussion is taking place. It's one thing to be talking in a Jewish day school about how we want to teach about Israel. It's something very different if you're publishing something in a general newspaper that everybody is going to be reading. I don't want to suggest to anybody that they hide Israel's faults and shortcomings, but I think it's very important in expressing concern about those things in Israel which still require improvement, that the message never be lost of the essential right that Israel has to exist.
Exactly.
The amazing accomplishments that Israel has, not just as a startup nation, but also in terms of so many different social activism initiatives. And if those things are taken for granted in one setting, and people are able to talk more, to critique more those things that need improvement, it's fine. But in other settings where it's not taken for granted that people understand the fundamental right of Israel to exist, I think one has to be very careful in addressing the faults that still need to be corrected.
You know, when you talk about Israel and anti-Israel and anti-Semitism, there is a fine line in that way. But many times when you talk about being good in Israel, it provokes, for some people, anti-Semitism. Or by the way, the other way, how to manage anti-Semitism, anti-Israeli, Israel. Because when somebody attacks you, they say, but we have Israel. Israel, you see, it's a good place. It goes and helps Kenya. And you say, but that doesn't help without the anti-Semitism. How to arrange these common problems in every way?
Okay, so first of all, I don't believe that every attack on Israel is an attack on Jews.
Right.
I think we have to be very careful in our response. I think we have to recognize that some of the greatest supporters of Jews and of Israel are those who are critical of some of the things that are going on in Israel. So a knee-jerk reaction that because somebody's critical of Israel that they should be labeled as an anti-Semite is absolutely not acceptable to me. On the other hand, I think that there are those who are anti-Semites who it's very convenient for them to pick at certain things that are going on in Israel and say, see what the Jews are doing, as opposed to what Israel might be doing. So there is a fine line of distinction. I know just north of here with all the presidential debates going on in the United States, there are those who feel that that anybody who's not backing Trump is anti-Semite, anti-Israel. I think that's nonsense. I think that there are many candidates within the Democratic Party, even if they are critical of Israel, are real supporters of Israel and of the Jewish people. And I think we really have to be careful in labeling everybody who makes an anti-Israel or a critical comment of Israel as an anti-Semite. That being said, I think anybody who says that Israel has no right to exist, that Israel is just occupying, the Jews had no right to come there, that to me is absolutely unacceptable.
What do you think, just to finish? It has to be the paper or the word or the role of the Jewish community all around the world to fight anti-Semitism, that it's rising all around, to fight, to be depending of Israel just, or what does it have to be? We talk with somebody in the United States and they told us we have to have confidence in our government in the United States. I think we have to go a little bit farther with that. We have to be part of the solution. What do you think is the role with Israel, with the diaspora, against anti-Semitism and against all these not correct attacks to Israel?
Okay, so here I can say I mentioned that one area, one of the three pillars of the Jewish agency is indeed being the voice of world Jewry. Another one of the pillars is fighting anti-Semitism. If somebody had said 10 years ago or 15 years ago that this should be a major focus, I think it would have been largely dismissed. There was a feeling that anti-Semitism was on the way out. Clearly that wasn't the case. Anybody who thought that was deluding themselves or just unaware of certain processes that were taking place. So to join together in fighting anti-Semitism, I think, is indeed a real job of world Jewry. But at the same time, making sure that people understand that there aren't double standards applied to Israel's either in terms of its right to have a land of its own. Every people around the world has a right to their own country, to their own state, and I think we need Jews around the world to convey that message. I think that many feel that Israel's the very idea of a Jewish state is not taken for granted and challenged. And I count on world Jewry to stand up for us and convey very strongly that we as a people, we're not just a religion, we're a people as well, and that we too have a right to a plot of land of our own.
Thank you very much, David.
My pleasure.